Hey guys, Iceman here. And in this video we're going to discuss 5 things that have made Diablo 2 a toad game over the years. The first thing is the fact that there are customization things with lasting effects and consequences, okay? Which is very important. The consequences. Diablo 3 lacked things like that, where there weren't any consequences with all the shit you would do with your character and customizing them. You had all of your skills accessible, and you could always switch between whatever the hell skill you wanted to use, whenever you wanted. You just had to go to town or be away from enemies for like 5 seconds, and you could become whatever build you wanted to become. But in Diablo 2, it's not like that. In Diablo 2, for one, you have all these stat points that you can choose to distribute in the way that you want. In every level you gain 5 of them. That's told because it differentiates your character from other folks' characters. It makes them unique and not just all the same, like what we get in Diablo 3 and probably Diablo Immortal and other stupid spin-offs like that. This video is for advices, perhaps, on what would be most toadish for Diablo 4, okay? So, this is just one of the things. Point number 1. And there has to be consequences, man. Because it keeps you on your toes and shit. And it adds to the realism of the game when there are consequences for your actions. Like, you could, put too many points in energy by mistake, or have a imbalance of, like, strength and dex. You might have too many points in strength while you're building your character. And so then, oftentimes, you'll end up just staying that way, knowing that you could improve upon that. And of course, there are ways to go back. In Diablo 2, you can work hard, and you can get a token where you can reset your stat attributes. But still, the token could take you hours and hours of gameplay to achieve and to attain. You see? So it makes you be more cautious with your build and things like that. It makes you be careful. And that's just the crust of the issue, though, man. When it comes to skills as well, you can build your character to be a bow character, like in Diablo 2, or a javelin character and spear. Or you can make a hybrid of the two, or whatever sort of build, appeases your desires. So things like that make the game really toad. So make sure to have something like that in the upcoming Diablo game, okay? Come on, man, listen to this shit. Iceman knows what he's talking about, right? Like this video if you guys agree with me, and if you don't, just like the video anyway, man. And if you want to talk shit about it, just do that in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on the matter. But yeah, that's thing number 1. Okay, so thing number 2, the rarity of items. This is very important, all right, to keep shit rare in a game that's all about finding good items. It's really important to have items that are nearly unattainable, to keep that ceiling really high, man, instead of creating that glass ceiling where everyone is given the damn items through loot crates or loot boxes and shit like that, or they're just easily attainable. Like they all have the same damn chance to drop. Like all the uniques, like what they eventually did in Diablo 3, is they all have the same chance to drop. But of course, they reverted a little bit by making the ancient ones and the primal ones, but the only thing those items really did was increase the numbers in which are spamming on the screen, because they just simply helped with damage output and with life and stats like that. They didn't actually change the gameplay, like in Diablo 2, where there are items that change the gameplay. You can get an Enigma armor that makes your character teleport around no matter what class they are. And that took a lot of effort and work to achieve. A lot of people couldn't attain it in the matter of a 6-month season or whatnot. So it really set you apart. It added to the competitiveness of the game when it comes to who has the most toadish character. But that's another point for later. It's important to keep the rarity of shit rare. Like in Diablo 2, it's all about the items, man. It's all about finding the goodies. The Harlequin crest, which is kind of rare. You know, but everybody wants this little toad. And it's always an element of achievement when you do finally attain one of these. Even though most people have one eventually, but it's not too rare, but it's a toadish item. That's kind of rare. So they're still very valuable, even later on. You know, far into the ladder, like right now, people still love to find a Shaco, you know, because their trade value is still up there. And just all those goodies like that. And of course, the runes and items. This character doesn't have many with valuable runes. So there's a Vex rune in this, and that's a toadish rune to find. You know, you gotta... It adds to the gameplay, man. Just trust me. Just listen and believe, bro, okay? And like I said, if you guys disagree with me, let me know in the comments below. But that is fucking bullshit if you disagree with that. Because, come on, man. It's all about finding the items. You know, keep the items rare. Keep some items really, really rare. So you have something to strive for. You have something to chase after, man. You always have that little carrot hanging in front of your character. And have some of these items be like game-changing items. Like how in Diablo 2 there was Enigma once again. And there was Infinity. And there was Last Wish and all sorts of shit like that. That just add some crazy stats and mods that you would never see on a character. Last Wish being able to cast, you know, the Might aura for anyone who wields it. So things like that. And Fade, you know, making your character fade out and look toadish. And take less damage and have a ton of resist. You know, things like that. And Infinity, where you can finally break the lightning immunes. You can finally run new areas with your lightning-centered character. You know, things like that. You know, don't be like Diablo 3, man, where you make all the shit the same chance of falling. And the only thing that differentiates the most toadish items from the less toadish is just a few little points in their intelligence or numbers that, you know, let you output just a little bit more damage. Is important to have some godly items that everyone wants that really sets the gameplay apart and that really changes the way you play. And have some of those items be really rare, you know, because then it gives everyone something to chase after. And I think that the reason why they generally make things easy to attain with some of these more mainstream games, including Diablo 3, is because they want the babies to be able to compete with the big boys. So they're like, well, we want the babies to have the Enigma and the Infinities as well, so let's just give them the fucking items. And then the babies will be appeased. But that's going to be a problem, I think, when it comes to the players who want to, you know, continue playing the game for a good amount of time. Because as we've seen with Diablo 3, the numbers fall, man. You know, nobody gives a shit about that game right now. Ain't nobody playing it. Probably more folks are playing Diablo 2 right now, because Diablo 2 is toadish. But yeah, the rarity of items. That's thing number 2. What's up, bruh? Iceman here. So, thing number 3 is to have a nearly unattainable max level. Now this guy's just a little pussy, alright? He's level 10 right now. New character. Some videos to come on this guy, okay? He's wearing Saigon set. Most of it anyway. I still need the helm. So if any of y'all want to hand out the helm, I'll take it. I don't give a fuck. I'll take a handout right now. But I think I might have one somewhere, but I don't know. But I want to complete the damn set. Just messing around. Yeah. But have that max level be nearly unattainable. Because right now, my Amazon, and I put a lot of time into her, she's only level 91. Alright? And again, consequences are important. When you die in Nightmare or Hell, you lose experience. You know, so it gives you incentive to want to not die. You know, it's good to have those sort of consequences, because then you start you start being more strategic. You know what I mean? So make that max level damn near unattainable. I think the highest level character I've ever had on Diablo 2, with all the time I've put into it, which has been a lot, I think I had a 93 character one time. And of course, the max level is 99. It's just, you get, like, props for that shit. You know, you get some respect, man. Or people just think you're a loser with no life. But nonetheless, you get recognized, you know? Like, you could be chillaxing in a game with your boys, and you got somebody who's like a 96 Sork or some shit like that. And it really sets them apart. You get, like, honor points and shit, man. It's cool. So, yeah, have something like that, because then you always feel like you're progressing a little bit. Instead of just hitting that cap max level, and the only progression after that is just if you find a good item. So you could play for hours and hours and not get any progression whatsoever. But if you haven't reached the max level, and the max level is damn near unattainable, you're always progressing some, unless if you die like crazy, which goes back to the other point, you know, why you have to be strategic. But, and it works out great how that shit meshes together, you see? Because then you play for several hours, and at least you're making some gains out of it if you don't die. You can say, well, I didn't find shit when I was playing for 3 hours, but at least my experience bar went up a little tiny bit. I mean, I could barely see how high it went up, but it went up a little bit. You know, so you always feel like you're making improvements. So yeah, keep that max level high, man. Just like in Diablo 2. I think the way it is in Diablo 2 works out just right. You know, if you were to have it planned out in that way, how Diablo 2 is, where you could really play like a 6-month ladder with a character several hours a day, and you still wouldn't hit level 99 at the end of those 6 months. You know, keep it something similar to that. Or just make it damn near impossible, man, but don't make it any easier than it is in Diablo 2. That's what the next Diablo game needs. Let me know if y'all agree with me in the comments below, and become a patron if you want. Link in the description below. Alright, thank you to my patrons. And now we're going to get on to the next thing. Alright, thing number 4. The competitive nature of the game. Keep shit competitive. Now by this, I mean many things. For one, allow people to duel. For the longest time, Diablo 3, you couldn't even duel. And last I checked, now you can't do it in a regular game. You have to like join a dueling game and dumb shit like that. You know, it's okay to enable the possibility of getting slaughtered by another player. It adds to the experience, I think, in many ways. When you know you can, someone could join your game and try to slaughter your character. Worst comes to worst, you can make a private game if someone's chasing you down and shit, or you could probably block them so they can't discover you. You know, things like that. Have those sort of blockades in place if necessary, but allow PvP, allow dueling. It's very important, you know, because then you have another way to measure your opponents with. You could be like, okay, Iceman, you're toadish in killing a bunch of monsters. How good are you at PvP, bro? You know, can your Baba take my smiter out? I doubt it. You know, shit like that. It adds so much more to the game. But another really important thing to keep the game competitive is to have open loot, where you're chasing after the loot. Now, maybe there could be a system implemented where if you're in a party, kind of like how World of Warcraft is, and a GG unique falls, say any unique, or a rune, you can have the option to either select need or greed, because it shows up with a little timer where everyone in your party has a chance to select their option before anyone can actually take the item. You know, something like that might be okay for Diablo 2, but having the open loot, I think, also adds to the experience. So maybe something somewhere in between that shit, you know what I mean? But let me know what you guys think about open loot in Diablo 4. And should it be like it is in Diablo 2? Or should it be something how it is here, and in addition have some implements made from World of Warcraft? Or should it be like Diablo 3, where you just get your own private loot per player? You know, which I don't like that. I think that's bullshit. But let me know if you guys appreciate that, or what your thoughts are on that. But that all adds to the competitiveness as well, because sometimes a toadish item will drop, and everyone runs toward that shit. And, you know, folks will start talking shit in the chat. It adds to, like, being cooperative with your homies. You know, then you get style points, you get respect points, you get, you know, reputable points and shit like that in your little social circles. If you know to, you know, share items when it's not essential for your character to use it. So it pretty much enables relationships to be established in that way. that even though a toadish item falls, you know, sometimes you can let someone else have it. Or you can trade, you know, things like that. But anyway, yeah, keep shit competitive, man. Let people duel, let people hostile you, so that in Diablo 2, if you do it right, you can do it in town and then run into an area and try to slaughter them. Things like that. Let me know if you guys agree with me on that shit. Comment below. What's up, dog? Iceman here. So, thing number 5. Fuck. Oh, it's thing number 5. Oh. No, that's not it. Trading? No, it's not trading. Oh, right. Thing number 5. Don't make all the characters, like, be able to do everything. Like a lot of modern games, you'll be the freaking jack of all trades. You know, I think they did that shit with the Elder Scrolls some, from what I've read about. Or back in the day in Oblivion and in Daggerfall. You more kind of went the path that you chose in terms of your character type. You could be like a stealthy assassin or a strong warrior. Then in Skyrim, all of a sudden, you could be everything at once. You know, it's fucking bullshit. And Diablo 2 did it very well, as well. Where, like right here, I have this wolf build. He does pretty good against the Trav, you know, for clearing monsters in a melee combat sort of way. But there's some things that he's not optimal for. You know, he's not optimal for teleporting to the bosses constantly and trying to collect their loot, like a sorceress would be. Or a paladin with Enigma or something like that. He's not optimal for running Uber Tristram. You know, the biggest, toughest bosses in the game. But that's okay, because those characters are more centered toward just killing single target enemies, as opposed to area of effect. You know what I mean? So, it can be all about a balance of trying to find a character that's toadish in that he has a lot of area of effect, but at the same time, they do okay at single target as well. So it just creates, you know, that whole opened up realm of possibilities where you can try to find that perfect mesh and things like that. But the bottom line is, have the classes be very distinct from one another. And not only the classes, but the build types. Don't just allow all the characters to mesh into one final form the more time you put into them. It's Toad in Diablo, where if you have a godly Sork, for example, and you can just fly around and kill the bosses like crazy, and then you'll see a paladin who smites the shit out of a big boss, a big thick boss that your Sork can't kill. It's Toadish, you know, because monkey see, monkey do, because then you want to do that as well. And you're like, fuck this, I wanna go and smack down Ubermeth, but I can't do that with my Sork. So now I have to make a new character. And then you take on that whole new journey now, making this new character like a Smiter or a Frenzy Baba or something like that, who aren't as well off in terms of just killing everything on screen, you know, just wiping out the whole screen of enemies at once, but they are more optimal for killing the stronger bosses. And some characters favor running areas with a lot of non-light immunes, like if you go to, for example, the Ancient Tunnels, if you're a Cold Sork, right? You're kind of restricted on what you can run as a Cold Sork. But the Ancient Tunnels are great because they have barely any cold immunes. So you have a character who can do that. And then you have a character like a Javazan with Infinity, and she can run the pits, and she can run the Chaos Sanctuary. You know, things like that. So it really adds to the gameplay and diversifying the elements of the gameplay, where you can use this character for that, or this character for another thing. Yeah, so make sure to keep the shit very distinct. And that's how Diablo 2 is. There are a lot of different characters who can do different things, but there's not like one single character that can do it all just as efficiently as the next runner-up. You know what I mean? So keep it like that, man. And those are great advices, I think, for the next Diablo game. But just some things to point out about Diablo 2 and what I think it did right. So let me know what you guys think about all those points that I've made. And comment below the changes you hope to see in Diablo 4, and what sort of things should they take from Diablo 2 that should be implemented into Diablo 4. And what things about Diablo 3 and Diablo Immortal suck and should be done away with. Comment below. Peace be with you.